Let's learn about Ndp Neighbor Discovery Protocol. Let's get started with Ndp functions. As you may know, Ndp operates at the data link layer of the TCP/IP model, and it performs the following main functions. The first function is address resolution. This function allows a computer to find the MAC address associated with an IPv6 address of a neighbor computer in the same VLAN. The second function is stateless IPv6 auto-configuration. It enables IPv6 address auto-config clients to request IPv6 from a router, and it also allows the routers to dynamically assign an IPv6 address to client computers. The third function is duplicate address detection. It allows the client computer to verify if an IPv6 is already in use. To perform its functions, Ndp uses solicited node multicast address for group communication, and it uses the following ICMP messages: neighbor solicitation, neighbor advertisement, router solicitation, and router advertisement. Let's look into how a solicited node multicast address is created. A solicited node multicast address is created for each IPv6 unicast address configured on an interface. A solicited node multicast address always starts with the predefined /104 prefix of FF021FF. The last 24 bits are copied from the last 24 bits of the unicast address. Let's look at this IPv6 unicast address. Here is the last 24 bits, and from that we can figure out the solicited node multicast address is this address. To verify solicited node multicast address, we use the command show IPv6 interface, and then we provide the interface name and number, and we hit enter. Let's do it on IT Life Skills Router 1. Show IPv6 interface F00, then hit enter. As you can see on the interface F00, we have two global unicast addresses, this address and this address. Therefore, it will join to the two solicited node multicast address. This is a solicited node multicast address corresponding to this unicast address, and this is a solicited node multicast address corresponding to this address. Let's find out how address resolution works in IPv6 by analyzing the process when PC1 forwards an IPv6 packet to IT Life Skills Router 1. To send the packet, PC1 must encapsulate the packet into an Ethernet frame that has the destination MAC address, which is the MAC address of the interface F01. To get the MAC address, PC1 first checks its Ndp table, but the Ndp table is currently empty. Therefore, it must send the neighbor solicitation message to find the MAC address. Here is the neighbor solicitation message. As you can see, the source IP is the link local IP of PC1. The destination IP is the solicited node multicast address ends with 001, which means only IPv6 hosts whose address ends with 001 will listen for this solicited node multicast address, As a result, only a small subset of hosts on this link will process the received NDP neighbor solicitation message, and in this case, only IT Life Skills Router 1 will process the message. The target address is the IPv6 address that it needs to find the MAC address associated with it. In this case, it is the unicast address configured on the interface F10. PC1 also lists its MAC address for the IT Life Skills Router 1 to respond in the neighbor solicitation message. After receiving the neighbor solicitation message from PC1, IT Life Skills Router 1 records the MAC address information into its NDP table. The records can be translated as via the interface F10. IT Life Skills Router 1 can send IPv6 packet to this link local address of PC1 by forwarding its Ethernet frame to this link layer address. IT Life Skills Router 1 also recognizes the message is for itself, so it responds with the neighbor advertisement message. As you can see, this is the neighbor advertisement message, and it has the source address is the IPv6 unicast address of the interface F10 on IT Life Skills Router 1. The destination IP is the link local IP address on PC1 that IT Life Skills Router 1 found in the neighbor solicitation message. To respond to PC1 question, IT Life Skills Router 1 lists the MAC address of the interface F10 in the neighbor advertisement message. Upon receiving the neighbor advertisement message, PC1 records the MAC address information into its NDP table. The records can be translated as via the interface F00. PC1 can send IPv6 packet to this unicast address of IT Life Skills Router 1 by forwarding its Ethernet frame via this link layer address. When being configured with IPv6 address autoconfig, Ndp allows PC1 to request its IPv6 address configuration from a local router by sending the router solicitation message. As you can see, here is the router solicitation message, and it has a source IP is the link local IP of PC1. The destination IP is all routers multicast address, which allows the message to reach all routers in the same VLAN. It also lists the MAC address for the routers to respond directly to it. Ndp also allows routers to send router advertisement messages to provide prefixes and parameters for IPv6 autoconfig client computers in the local network. When enabled, IT Life Skills Router 1 sends router advertisement messages periodically or in response to solicitation. Here is a router advertisement message. As you can see, it has a source IP, which is the link local IP of IT Life Skill Router 1, and it has the destination IP, which is the all node multicast address, which means the message is sent periodically from router 1, and it is not the response to the router solicitation message from PC1, and it provides the prefix information of the local network to the clients. Upon receiving the router advertisement message, PC1 will learn about the prefix of the network and figure out the interface ID from its MAC address by using UI64. Before installing the IPv6 autoconfig in its interface, PC1 needs to perform the duplicate address detection process to verify if the IPv6 address is already in use. To do that, it will send the DAD neighbor solicitation message. Here is the neighbor solicitation message. As you can see, it has a source IP is unspecified because PC1 does not have any IPv6 assigned to it yet. It has the destination IP is the solicited node multicast address ends with F80, which means only IPv6 hosts whose address ends with F80 will listen for this solicited node multicast address. The target address lists the IPv6 unicast address that PC1 is going to configure for its network interface. If a host in the local network had already used this unicast address, it will respond back to PC1 via PC1 link local address. If PC1 does not receive the neighbor advertisement message from its neighbor, it will configure the IPv6 unicast address listed in the target address as its IP and uses IT Life Skills Router 1 as its default gateway.